Got it. Okay, Michael Weiner, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can introduce our illustrious guest, our last guest for the First Friday Forum for 2021.
Commissioner Weinroth, welcome to Delray Beach, Florida. How are you today?
I am wonderful, Michael. Great to hear you.
And now you are the mayor of our county, and we welcome that, and you are deserving of that title. Rob has had a long career in politics. Began with Boca Raton as a city commissioner there, and then moved on in a hard-fought election for county commission, and now has served on the county commission and voted as mayor of the commission. He has always had a political profile, has cared about the community. His district, hold on, I just got a note here. I love technology. His district runs along the Intracoastal, one of the most challenged districts in terms of sustainability and its climate change. He's mastered those and kept his constituency happy and pleased. Mayor, please tell us what's on your mind. These are the small business people of Delray Beach, Florida. They're looking forward to what it is that you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you all. And I'm honored to be your last guest of the year. So I'm sure I'm gonna have to leave you with a smile so that you can make it through the holidays knowing everything is really going in the right direction. You mentioned the district, and just want to let you know we're in the process of finishing off the redistricting for the next 10 years. As a result of the census, there's been some minor changes in the lines for the districts. And in fact, I'm not sure if you can see it very well. Let's see. No,
Not really.
No, all right. Anyway, Delray is actually cut into 3 pieces. And what happens is I have the Barrier Island. I have a piece of Delray that actually runs from Military east, but then there's a cutout in the middle there for District 7, the minority district that was created about 20 years ago that Mac Bernard has. So actually Delray has 3 commissioners. You have me with District 4, you have Mac Bernard with District 7, and then you have in your west, which is essentially west of Jog, you have Maria Sachs. So you have triple the representation on the commission, which means you got 3 of us that you can call anytime. Not that you can't call all 7 of us, but certainly we're all there to help you and facilitate anything you have going on. I was going to talk a little bit about what's going on with economic development. Obviously, this being a chamber event, I think that's probably the most important to what's going on. And as you know, the session of the legislature is about to start in the early 2022 because of the elections every 2 years. They moved the session up from March to January. So we're going to have the session starting in January, and we are sending our lobbyists up with a number of things that they're going to be talking about on behalf of Palm Beach County. And I thought I would address some of those so you know the agenda, and certainly if you have other issues that you would like to make sure that are being pressed by the county, in addition to what, of course, the cities will be bringing up through the League of Cities and through the independent chambers, then, you know, certainly let my office know, and we'll work with the delegation to make sure that those issues are on the table. One of the things that is going to be important to us as the county commission is the issue of the construction issues, re-inspections of buildings. As you know, after what occurred down in South Miami with the collapse of the building, there was a lot of conversation about whether it would be appropriate for each of the municipalities and the counties each come up with their own regulations as far as re-inspections of the high rises, especially on the water. And the commission made the decision to defer to the state on this to have a more uniform system of regulation. Boca Raton made the decision to go forward with its regulations. I'm not sure if Delray has made any decisions on behalf of the city, but we're hoping that during this session that while normally, and I'm a very strong proponent of home rule, we felt that this was one area where we felt that the legislature would probably be the better vehicle for drafting a uniform set of regulations across counties and across municipalities rather than having a patchwork of systems, something in Boca, something in Delray, something in Lake Worth, something in Broward, something in Palm Beach. So we are going to be watching very carefully to see what goes on during this legislative session. If they don't take this opportunity to put something on the table and pass a uniform set of regulations, then we will, as a commission, revisit this. And I'm sure we will have a set of regulations that tries to balance the safety of the residents with the potential additional costs and disruption that re-inspections are going to cause. Now, obviously, after the collapse, we were all, concerned. We didn't want to have that happen in our own backyard. And I think as we've seen the information start coming out of Miami, we understand that most of the issues in that building probably were a result of the design of it. And in fact, the condo association had a report back in 2018 that told them that they had some problems on their hands. The real issue was that the condo association couldn't get the residents to buy on to the fact that there were significant assessments that were going to be necessary to do the re-engineering and the structural work to bring that building back up to a safety. And that's going to be really the issue. It's not enough to have structural engineers and electric engineers coming in and identifying the deficiencies. And right now, even that's going to be a tall order because there are not enough structural and electrical engineers to go around. And obviously, Miami and Broward have sucked up a good number of the people who are really able to handle this. But if you were able to get the re-inspection done in a timely fashion, then the next question is, do you have the money, the wherewithal to be able to remediate the problem? And we know that in many of the condominiums, that the fact is that the reserving has not really been up to what we would expect if we were running a business ourselves, so that you put money away for rainy day and for the issues that are going to come up to refurbish your building. A lot of these buildings don't have any reserves or a modest amount of reserves. And so I think that the legislature is going to have to deal with this on two levels. One, what is going to be required to have the re-inspections? And two, what's going to be required of condo associations going forward as far as a reserve policy, so that there will be funds available at some point in time. And of course, every building at some point is going to need work, whether it's going to be on the balconies, whether it's going to be the electrical work, whether it's just going to be, waterproofing, whatever it's going to be is going to take money. And, if the condo association board doesn't have the wherewithal to spend that money, then that's where the real issue is going to be. So we are, again, going to wait on the legislature to see how they handle this. On other issues that we are working with our legislative delegation, we are going to be supporting full funding of Enterprise Florida. As you know, Enterprise Florida has been sort of the bastard child up in Tallahassee, And over the last several sessions, it's been defunded and refunded, and we're going to hopefully see the continuing funding of Enterprise Florida, and that's certainly a driver of business. And we are looking forward to, again, a very vibrant economy. We all know that post-pandemic, actually, Florida's come through with flying colors. In fact, it's a red hot market, both in business and in real estate. If you have anything to do with real estate, if you're a broker, if you're an agent, or if you're just buying or selling, you know that the prices have just gone crazy. Probably jumped in the residential market about 30% over the last year to year. And the good news is, if you own property, you're probably doing very well. The bad news is, if you don't own property, especially if you're, a young couple or a young professional who is, just starting out and would like to be able to own or even rent a place in Palm Beach County, it's getting very, very difficult. Melissa McKinley, my colleague from District 6, which is the western area of the county, Wellington and west out to the Glades, said at one of the meetings that she's living in an apartment where the rent had gone up from $1,200 to $1,400. She thought that was, acceptable. And then she was looking at the listings for her building, and she realized an identical apartment to hers right now is going for $4,000. So that kind of increase I'm hearing over and over again from people who are living in the county. And that's putting a tremendous pressure on renters, on owners. And the fact is, even before the pandemic, we were talking about the need for additional workforce housing. As an employer, I'm sure you understand that your employees want to live close by so they don't have to spend 45 minutes driving to work. And so companies that are moving to Florida, with the first question they ask is, do you have a skilled workforce? And of course, we are proud of the fact that we have A-rated schools. We have a university system here, a state university system, the college system, and we have the ability to certainly bring a workforce forward so that these companies that are coming down here have the ability to employ the people that they need. The second question they're going to ask is, well, what about places for our employees to live? And that's where we wind up with some issues, because as they take a look at the prices here in Palm Beach County, they recognize that it's going to put a pressure on the salaries. And they, again, especially in hospitality, they are really squeezed, because if you're making $15 an hour, $18 an hour, rent and mortgage payments in Palm Beach County are out of reach. So we are going to be working with the developers now locally, and we're also working through the legislature to try and get additional funding for workforce housing, for affordable housing, for the homeless. And part of that, of course, is the infamous Sadowski funds. And we are working with our legislative delegation to try and keep those funds for what they were meant. And last year, we got about a third of what we were expecting, which is, not great, but based upon the years before, it was quite a bit better. So Sadowski funds will be another thing that we're going to be talking about, and additional funding for housing. Another area that we're going to be talking about is funding of Visit Florida. Again, our tourism was hit very hard by the pandemic. And while we don't have we don't have an income tax, we have a sales tax, obviously, but we also have a bed tax, which is really a driver for a lot of what goes on in the county. This is where the money for the stadiums comes. This is where the money for the convention center comes, and also the money that we use for enticing people to come to Florida versus going to Texas or whatever other places that they're thinking about. So we're going to make sure that we're going to have the state hopefully remove the sunset provision on Visit Florida and hopefully fully funded so we can be marketing our country, our state and our piece of the state, South Florida, and making sure that we're attracting more and more tourism back to Florida. On that note, I've been speaking with some of the hotels, and the good news is while tourism still has not back to pre-COVID, we are having a lot of staycations. So a lot of our residents have been using the hotels, and so we're seeing the numbers at the Breakers and in Delray at the hotels there in Boca Raton. We're seeing the numbers coming up. So the good news is a lot of people are enjoying our piece of sunshine. We have to continue to attract more visitors here because obviously that's a driver for the bed tax, and the bed tax is important for us to be able to finance a lot of what we enjoy down here in the absence of, an income tax. Let's see what else is going on up in Tallahassee. As I said, we are, worried about affordable and workforce housing. We're going to be really focused on that. From the county's point of view, we were talking about the potential of a bond issue before the pandemic. We were talking about a bond issue of about $250 million to jumpstart, again, workforce housing, to get more housing stock out there so that, again, we have the ability to people have affordable housing. It's a basic, principle of economics. It's supply and demand. So if there's not enough supply and the demand keeps on going up with these New Yorkers deciding that it's time to move to this piece of sunshine that we enjoy, obviously the prices are going up. So we have to make sure that we are having an adequate supply. And then again, there's a balance. We don't want to be Miami. We don't want to be Broward. There's a conversation right now over the Ag Reserve as far as how we're going to effectively use what is left of the developable areas within the Ag Reserve, how we can encourage multifamily in the Ag Reserve, how we can encourage housing that's going to be affordable. Certainly the $1 million homes that are being put out there by GL Homes and others are great, and they're being snapped up by buyers, especially coming from out of state, who are buying these almost sight unseen and for cash. But we need to have housing that's going to be affordable for people who, again, live here, work here, want to play here. And I think, as a matter of equity, we want people who are working here in this county, our teachers, our cops, the healthcare workers, people who work in hospitality, people like you and I who, might only be making $50,000 to $80,000, still be able to find a decent place to live here in the county. So, that's one of our imperatives. We're also working on getting full funding for DOT grants. There's going to be a lot of money coming to the county and it's already been coming through the ARP, but we're going to get infrastructure money from the first bill that was signed by the president, the $1 trillion. We're going to get a significant amount of that. And then there's going to be more money coming, hopefully, if the Congress can, come to some resolution as to their differences as to what should be in that next bill. But we are expecting a lot of money. We're going to be looking at infrastructure. We're looking at capital projects, and certainly that's going to help the economy. The bad news is there is not a lot of workers out there. And I'm sure each of you who has been looking for employees knows that it's been difficult to get everybody you need. In the county, we are, in the building department, we're looking for over 40 people right now. And that's certainly having an impact on getting building permits and getting other work through that department. So I'm sure the same pressures that the county is under, each of you are under. And so it's just a matter of, some equalizing of this as people have gotten out of the habit of going to work, especially with virtual employment available, with all of the benefits that came down from the federal government and the county government and the state government, as far as helping people through the crisis, as far as rent subsidies and mortgage subsidies and food subsidies, and at one point very high unemployment benefits, as high as $875 at the beginning of the pandemic, when they were getting the 600 from the feds and the 275 from Florida. So it's a matter of readjustment. It's a matter of some people who have just left the workplace and are either accepting the unemployment and maybe receiving money under the table. I'm not quite sure exactly what the problem is, but certainly we need to get more people willing to do the work that needs to be done, because construction right now is really crying for employees. I know I've spoken to several of the companies, Lennar, GL, and they're saying right now that they're holding back on sales because they are having trouble with deliverables. And that's just a matter of supply chain problems, getting materials, and also labor shortages. So we're hopefully going to see that start to correct itself over the next few months. Okay, I discussed affordable housing. Substance abuse is another area where we're hoping that we're going to get some help from the state. We're looking for additional funding to help us with things like treatment. Mental health certainly has been an issue post-pandemic, during the pandemic, and we're looking for additional dollars to help us. We're also in the area of homelessness, have added on to our what we call the Homeless Resource Center. The first one, of course, being the Lewis Center over in West Palm Beach. We have a second center now, a temporary center over by the fairgrounds, where we have been housing people who were in the parks. And we have another resource center out in the Glades. And so these cost money, and these are only temporary solutions because people are brought into them for about 90 days. And then hopefully we're able to work with them, counsel them, get them to a point where they're able to find a decent place to live and get back on their feet as far as employment. There's a lot going on environmentally. We got a significant amount of money for the reservoir out by the C-51. We are looking for, obviously, help as far as Lake-O, making sure that the algae blooms are not a thing that we continue to have to worry about, and the damage that that does to the estuaries. We're working with the Army Corps of Engineer, working with the state, South Florida Water Management, Lake Worth Drainage District, and we're all working towards the same goal of trying to make sure that when the dike is completed over at the south end of the lake, that we're going to be able to raise the levels of water adequately so that we have enough drinkable water, that we have enough water for recreation at the lake, and we're also making sure that the algae blooms are controlled, and again, that the estuaries are not damaged by the outflow from the lake. That's really a broad brush of the things that are going on. And, I have other issues, but maybe at this point, Michael, I would take some questions and maybe address issues that are important to you guys.
Well, one of the things that's going on locally is that the County Administrative Center on Congress, which I think is outside your district, but still pretty close to home for us here in downtown Delray. There have been lots of rumors about that, where it's going, what's happening, and maybe it's too early to talk about it, but if you, Mayor, have some special insight on that and where you think it might be going, that would be interesting to these
Very
to
good,
me.
Michael, and I'm glad you brought that up because I've been a proponent of really taking a fresh look at that location. To me, it is a very valuable piece of real estate. Being right there on Congress, it really is a wasted piece of real estate. And under our previous facilities manager, the idea was to basically update it a little bit, put some paint on it, put some, updating of the buildings. And frankly, I called it putting lipstick on a pig. And the fact is that it's such a valuable piece of real estate. It's right there on the station, the Delray Tri-Rail station. So it's a perfect place for workforce housing. It's a perfect place on Congress to activate for business and retail. It's a perfect place for the county government to go ahead and create a single building, maybe 4 or 5 stories, go vertical, take a lot of that stuff, basically scrape it down and start all over again. And we've had conversations with a lot of the people, county government offices that are there on that parcel. And one of those heavy users is Ann Gannon, the tax collector. And Ann has expressed an interest in moving west. So she would like to be able to move her operations either by the turnpike or to go all the way out to 441. If she did that, that would again free up a significant portion of that parcel and really give us an opportunity to step back and really reimagine how we can activate that, make it, again, it's contiguous with what a lot of the things that Delray is doing right now. And we would like to support that with what the county is doing. So the short answer, Michael, is it's a work in progress. We are working with facilities right now to try and develop a new plan. I know that there are residents from Delray Beach that have ideas. Jim Chard has reached out to us with some ideas, other members of the community, and we are going to, if I have anything to say about it, and certainly my colleagues, especially Commissioner Sachs and Commissioner Bernard, who are also co-located there as far as our second offices, we're going to work hard to see how we can take that location and really upgrade it and take advantage of the opportunity that it offers.
Mayor, one more quick question, and then Stephanie, I don't know if any have come up in the chat room or people want to raise their hands, but your district has the longest length of beaches of almost all the districts. And I don't think, and it would help to talk about the fact that the administration of the beach is very difficult. There's just so many layers. How is the county working with both the municipalities below and the state and federal government above to see what they can do to put together the pot of infrastructure money and other resources to keep our beaches going? Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, again, like you said, Michael, we are very blessed to have the miles and miles of public beaches, especially in Delray and Boca. You go to Highland Beach and it's all private. So yeah, we are very fortunate that the people before us had the foresight to set aside that strip. We are working with the state. We are getting money for beach and inlet management projects. We are supporting legislation for the funding of about $30 million for that. And we're going to also look for additional projects for beach erosion, for making sure that we're doing everything we can to maintain the pristine character of our beaches. Obviously, that is an attractor for tourism, and also it's a benefit for residents. And so we're going to do whatever we can to get the funding to make sure that those beaches stay the way they are. We've been very fortunate. We haven't had any major hurricanes in the last couple of years to suck all that sand out of there. So our beach is in pretty decent shape right now, but we're going to continue to work towards getting money for projects both in the county and help with the municipalities with their work with beach renourishment.
Well, thank you for being a steward of the public beaches. We really do appreciate that. It has helped us keep the profile that we have for Palm Beach County. Are there questions? Let's see if anybody has some questions for the mayor. I'm going to change your name to Pam.
Yeah, I grabbed her laptop instead of mine.
It's all right. I got up late enough that I'm still in my Michigan sweatshirt, so that's it.
Yeah, just don't stand up too much, Michael. I don't want to see what you're wearing below the belt.
We are recording.
Any other questions for the mayor? Somebody has a hand up. Is there something in the chat room, Steph?
It looks like Jennifer Thomas has a
Looking on
hand.
Facebook. Anything from our Facebook viewers?
So this is,
Type it in.
Stephanie, looks like Jennifer's got her hand up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Jennifer Thomason, are you there?
can everybody hear me?
Now we can.
Yes, this is Jennifer. So I had a quick question. Had my conversation with now Mayor Weinroth, and he is so incredibly supportive of affordable housing. I represent Habitat for Humanity, so it's obviously very near and dear to my heart. The question I've been trying to ask all the municipalities is there is funding there for affordable housing, but is there any kind of geographic plan of the land for affordable housing? Because that's our issue, is finding the land. We have the funding to build these homes for these well-deserving families, but it's finding the land in either the municipalities or the county.
I heard about
Jennifer,
19 acre site.
Michael, you want me to take that?
Yeah, I heard about a 19-acre site. I don't know where that stands, but it'd be very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly know Jennifer's issues, and a lot of this has to do with identifying parcels that are available. Unfortunately, because things are so pricey right now, there have been pieces of land that have been basically thrown up for auction, and they're far beyond their means for them to be able to acquire. We, as a county, have been relying upon the need for the builders, the developers, to set aside 25% of their projects for workforce housing. So that has essentially been the way that we've been working through having additional workforce housing. As far as identifying parcels, especially for Habitat, which of course is looking to rehabilitate or redevelop on properties that are either dedicated to them or are very low in cost, that's something that is difficult for us to identify on a county basis, except way out west in the Glades, which really is not the appropriate place to be putting the workforce and affordable housing. It really needs to be running along our major corridors where we have transportation and employment. It's not enough to be building a house if someone can't afford to live there. So from our point of view, this is really going to be something that the municipalities, especially Delray, Boynton Beach, Lake Worth, along I-95, along Congress, are going to have to be able to work with nonprofits like Habitat to identify and then help them to be able to work towards getting those properties rehabilitated. But frankly, that's a drop in the bucket. We have to do more, and we have to do a significant amount more, because again, the supply and demand is so far out of whack right now that the price is just every time I pick up the Sun Sentinel, we see that the prices are going 20, 30, 40% up, and it's really it's not sustainable. Residents who live here are finding it great if you own, but impossible if you're looking for that starter home.
Thank you, Mayor Weinroth.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the time and for the attention you give to your district. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure, Michael. And look, everybody, I'm there for you, whether you're in my district or not. Now that I'm mayor, obviously I have a little more of a broad perspective, but each one of us, all 7 of us, are county commissioners. We're elected by a district, single member district, but we're county commissioners. So you shouldn't be, you shouldn't say, oh, I got to call Maria because I'm in the West, or I have to call Mac because I'm in the downtown. We're all there for you. My phone number, it's easy to remember, 355-2204, because I'm in the 4th district, 2204. If you wanted Maria, it's 355-2205. If you want Mac, it's 355-2207. Very easy to figure out. We're all there. I have a great staff with Lucia and Yalen and Caitlin in my office. We're there to help you. Anything you need, please reach out. It's my pleasure to help you.
Thanks so much, Mayor. You were invited to stay on. We have lots of interesting business in Delray Beach, Florida. So you're invited to stay on and listen to our get together.
Well, I'm going to turn off my microphone and my camera, but I'll listen. And I'm heading up to the lake in about an hour, because the Florida League of Cities is having the big hoedown out there, their barbecue, their annual barbecue. So I'll be heading out there. So, but thank you very much for inviting me this morning. I hope I've been helpful. And again, reach out to me if there's anything I can do for you.
Great. Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Rob. Thank you. Well, we have some of our partners on, Michael. So what do we start with, Renee? Renee?
Hi.
Renee, you got to sing from the CRA. Go ahead,
Hi,
Renee.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, and
Oh,
We can
perfect.
hear you, we can see you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. That was a great presentation. Thank you, Mayor. So just very brief from us, we have had a board meeting scheduled for next week, Thursday, December 9th. But I'm sure we've talked about this before, the Hatcher Construction Development. It's a land lease project that we entered into with a local contractor about a year or so ago. He's actually breaking ground. So we decided, instead of closing out there with the board meeting, we're going to close it with the groundbreaking. And we're going to celebrate. Everyone here is invited. Little history. This development is really one of the only, I guess, ground up developments in West Atlantic area since the Fairfield Inn. So it's been some years, so we really wanted to celebrate this. It's a quick turnaround. We just kind of decided to flip it around this week. So I'd appreciate everyone sharing as much as possible. I'll put the flyer in the chat, but we're just going to have kind of an open forum. It's going to be in a big grass lot, so plenty of social distancing, very safe. But we want to come out and really support Mr. Hatcher. He's been so gracious and so happy to do this development. Actually, the project, the program that he's using, the land lease, is the same program, a CRA program that the Fairfield Inn used. So a large developer such as the Fairfield used this program, and so did Mr. Hatcher. So it's also a good example of how our programs are really transferable. You don't have to think, oh, you have to have this multi-million-dollar project. You can have something smaller and still take advantage of some of our programs. So please share the information. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you.
thanks, Renee. Who else is reporting today, staff?
We have DDA, and who's going to talk? Peter, are you going to talk to the DDA or somebody else?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Can you hear me?
We certainly can.
Very good. I'd like to thank Mayor Weiner for his attendance today. He's always very engaged in our district, and he is right. Whether you're in his district or not, he is always there to help and guide you. And I appreciate that. And just a little bit of insider trading, I wanted to say to our friend Michael Weiner that if my camera worked, you'd see my Iowa Hawkeye shirt, and we'll settle that tomorrow night around 7 o'clock. So look for that. First, I'd like to say that last Saturday, Downtown Development Authority spearheaded the Shop Small program in conjunction with American Express. And we had another ornament made this year. And if you spent a certain amount of money downtown, you got a complimentary ornament. And you can really gauge it by how many ornaments that were given out. And we'll have a report on that down the road as to the impact of that. But I thought that was very successful. As this is our 50th anniversary, we're continuing with recognizing our legacy businesses in downtown Delray Beach. We're providing a special window decal, a certificate suitable for framing, and a letter that recognizes their long-term and longevity in our downtown. And we want to recognize them and keep them. Those of you who might or might not know, if you've watched the Parking Management Advisory Board minutes or our Downtown Development Authority last month, or the most recent City Commission meeting, there is a move about to increase the parking meter fees in downtown Delray Beach. And you might want to take a look at the presentation given last week and look at the amount of money that is looking to be collected from this. So instead of parking management, we've gotten to a point where it's possibly, just a revenue stream. And we'd like to have your input on that. And if you'd like any information, please let us know at the DDA or even city staff, and they can give you that presentation and take a look at that. Next Monday, the 13th at noon is our board meeting. And if anybody would like to attend virtually, please let us know. And finally, if you're not on our email list, please send an email to info@downtowndelraybeach.com. That's info@downtowndelraybeach.com. And we'll sign you up for our weekly newsletters. They talk everything about traffic to road closures to marketing opportunities, our merchant meetings, and other events that are going on downtown. So on behalf of the DDA, thank you very much for allowing us to present. And we look forward to seeing you on next Monday if anybody would like to attend. Thank you.
So Peter, this is David Beal again. I have a question on what you just said. Back when I was on the DDA, we had countless, this is years ago, countless arguments about parking. And one thing we were always very clear on, we didn't want parking to be a revenue source, but rather to be revenue neutral and to be management and not to scare businesses away and patrons away. Does DDA take a position on that new proposal?
Our position was that instead of taking a position, we asked them to get input from the merchants and the residents downtown to see what their thought was, because I don't think that many of the merchants downtown, as they stand behind their cash registers and work very hard, know that this is coming down the line. So our position was, before we take a position, we'd like to hear the city get input from those merchants and residents and businesses downtown who will be directly affected. After that, we will then take a position, but it's been tabled at this point at the city commission level. But if you get a chance, you can go back to the minutes of the last meeting and the presentations and take a look at that detailed presentation on the amount of revenue that is going to be generated, anywhere from $1.50 an hour to $5 an hour.
Well, thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
It's an important issue that everybody should stay engaged in, if I may speak up for a moment. On one hand, we hear a lot of talk about that we really want a varied downtown commercial landscape. But as we increase parking, our retailers are the ones that are most hurt. Now, look, people are typically going in and spending $50 or $100 per head at a restaurant. Maybe an increase in parking isn't all that difficult for them. But if we really mean it seriously, that we want the merchants to stay in town, and that this isn't just going to become another street for a group of larger restaurants, then we have to put some muscle behind it and help them out. And that means making a easier zoning code, and that means not choking off the parking for the casual browser. So it's a pretty important issue. Sorry to get on my soapbox.
No, you're right, Michael. Otherwise, people go to the mall and park for free. So speaking of economics, Sarah Maxwell, would you like to make a little presentation? Tell us what's going on in your world?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you, Mayor, for being with us. I have a few really positive updates I'd like to share because today's Friday and we're going into the weekend. So we are reinvigorating the Congress Avenue plan, for lack of a better term. Many of you saw the presentation that I made from my sick bed on the September the 24th about moving forward in the city with economic development and having a forward-thinking plan for us. So, the county land there, it will be integral in that. There's a lot of great elements of that particular plan. So I've been working with Stephanie to get in touch with all of the original folks that worked very hard on that for a very long time, to re-engage, and then look at a few other subject matter experts that we can add into the mix to really make this impactful. We'll be looking at it from an economic development standpoint. So from a highest and best use of the available land there, and one of our commercial corridors where there's actually some options and some room for commercial development there. Of course, housing is always a piece of that as well, but we need to be very careful in the city. We've eliminated a lot of our commercial and industrial properties and given them away to housing, and we continue to do that, and that puts all of the burden on all of the residents rather than some of the larger businesses. So we need to look at that very closely, and it's a very fine line, and we have to strike a balance there. So that's what we're hoping to be able to do through that planning process. We are moving right along with our tourism master plan with our wonderful partners here at the Chamber and at the DDA. Many of you are part of that task force. We have a meeting at 10 o'clock today. So we'll be sharing information from the SWOT analysis that you all so graciously spent time completing. So we're looking forward to that. And I may have buried the lead. However, now that the Business Development Board is putting it in their update presentation, quarterly presentation, I guess I'm able to share as much information as they did, but it's not a lot of details. But I am working closely with the Business Development Board and the state of Florida on a very large jobs project that we are in competition for here in Delray Beach. It's 200 jobs. It's in the financial sector. Average wages are $150,000. So those 200 net new jobs, and it's coming from out of state. So can't share any more than that. I'm sure you all understand, but it is a big, big deal. The BDB and the state have not brought a project to Delray Beach in a very, very long time. I'm told 10 years or more. And so we've got to put our best foot forward and show them that we want this, we're ready to play. And we are currently, I'm trying to negotiate some very interesting and creative tools and how to get that company here and why they should be here in Delray Beach. So I will close with that.
Thank you, Sarah. Elizabeth Issa from Planning and Zoning Development Services. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. I sent a PDF in the chat. It is the class 4s and 5 site plans that we have received. A lot of residential projects have come in. We have Island Cove, which is an approved project that they're modifying, and they're going to increase the density to allow for 60 multifamily rentals. And that's with the Delray Beach Housing Authority. We have Kaysen and Cocoa Plum, which is a single family project for 10 new single family homes over on North Swinton Avenue. The Edge of Pineapple Grove, which is a 8-unit townhouse project at the northeast corner of Northeast 6th and Northeast 2nd. 1236 George Bush Boulevard, which is 6 3-story townhouses, and 318 Southeast 5th Avenue, which is a mixed-use project. It's going to be 26 multifamily units and 5,500 square feet of ground floor retail. So that's what we've had submitted in the past month or so. So that's all.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for coming. I think that leaves us with one of our most important people, Stephanie Immelman from the Chamber, to give us an update on what's going on with the Chamber this month and upcoming events in the new year.
Yeah. Well, I'll be very brief. We've had a ton of grand openings. I think we had a total of 7 in November, and we had 2 last night. As a matter of fact, we have a couple more coming up before the end of the year. So I'll just tell you about them. First of all, I just wanted to speak about the nonprofit council. We were talking yesterday. It's kind of like a chamber within a chamber. We have about 80 members of the nonprofit council. Through this group, we did Do Good Delray this year, which was fantastic. And they have such good programming. Their theme this year was telling your story. So on December 7th, it'll be the final meeting of the year, and there's going to be a storytelling competition called Beyond Words. So we hear from 6 or 7 of the nonprofit members that are going to tell their story and win some prizes. So that's on December 7th at 11:30. So that's going to be super interesting. And if you want to attend, even if you're not a nonprofit, you're welcome to do so, but you'll just have to let us know because it's going to be pretty full that day. We've got our annual Jingle Bingle coming up on December 7th as well. Busy day at the chamber from 5:30 to 7:30, and it's Hyatt Place. So Hyatt Place is sponsoring this for us. The event's free to the first 100 chamber members, and we already have 105 that has signed up. So we're pretty full at the moment, but definitely sign up. But we should be able to accommodate most people. We'll probably be cutting that off this afternoon. We also would like you to bring a unwrapped toy to contribute to the police department's annual toy drive. So please remember to bring a toy to the Hyatt Place on December 7th. And of course, don't forget Delray Morning Live. We're definitely broadcasting for the first 3 weeks in December, and Ocean Properties is our partner. So we were at the new spa last week. We're going to be going to the Drift restaurant. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't even know if they're open. You'll get a preview of that. We'll be at the Monkey Bar. We're going to be at 50 Ocean. And in the new year, we'll be at Delray Sands. So we're partnering with Ocean Properties, and we're going to show off a lot of their spaces. Speaking of grand openings, we've got a ribbon cutting at Las Castrinas. I can't wait to go to that. That's on Tuesday, December 14th. It's a Mexican and tequila bar, so that'll be fun. That's 5 o'clock. That's over by Planet Fitness in the Walmart area of Federal Highway. So please join us for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's all we have coming up. Yeah, I mentioned Delray Morning Live. So I think that's it for the rest of the year, but stay tuned. We have continual grand openings, so there's still plenty of time to have fun during the holiday season. And that's it.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. Any questions for Stephanie? Well, that wraps up our December First Friday Government Affairs Economic Forum, and we hope to see you again in January. Meanwhile, have a great holiday season. Hope to all see you at the Chamber Holiday Party. It's been a while since we really celebrated all together, and we should while we can. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you,
Great.
Stephanie.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.